What is up, y'all, and welcome, this Misfits, to an episode of Skeptic Ranting. If you answer this question correctly, you're going to heaven.
This is like Final Jeopardy, or
Yes, it's double or nothing as well.
the Daily Double.
Daily Double, that's right. Where we are watching a video from the channel Growing Through the Bible, as opposed to water and sunlight as plants do. Called...
I don't think the Bible would make good fertilizer. Yeah.
Probably not.
Yeah.
The joke is it does not probably, make good toilet paper either, but you can sure try. Anyway, I'm just kidding, Christians. It's too early to blaspheme. Wait, no, it's not. It's just perfect time. Called If You Answer... Blasphemy Hour. If you answer this question correctly, you're going to heaven. And you always have to look up. Apparently, heaven's always up there. Heaven's never down there. We're going down to heaven. Yay!
You mean you get to spend eternity with great people like Pat Robertson? Wow.
That's right.
Oh.
Shoulder
what do I have to do to get in?
Pat on your knees.
Yeah, Ken Hoven, Pat Robertson, all these wonderful people. These kind and gentle creatures.
Exactly. And be on your knees forever and ever and ever.
With Matt Powell.
With Matt Powell. Won't you join James W. and myself, Amy Newman, as we answer the one question to get into Wonka's Chocolate Factory, or I don't know, whatever the biblical version of that is.
Or even worse, Ray Comfort. Yeah, Captain Desk, Ray Comfort walking around with a microphone doing Man on the Golden Street interviews.
James, if a banana fits in your hand, I feel like you either have proven God or you have a fantastic Saturday night.
Will there be bananas in heaven? I don't know.
Of course there will be. If you're on your knees that often, you gotta have something to put up somewhere. Or so I've been told. Anyway, I want to thank you all for joining us out there on the inner tubes. If you're feeling fancy, please don't forget to like, follow, subscribe. I said it, YouTube. Please like, follow, subscribe.
Got Slicey.
That's right, because if you hit that bell icon, you can get reminders to see your premieres or join our live stream so we can say hi to you. Like, what's up, Slicey? What's up, Sinister Porpoise? What is up, Touring? What is up, Goth? What is up, everybody? Ian Davenport, Shane Billowitz, Felicia, Church of the Robot, Danny, what is up? As well as
everybody out there. Got a good crowd tonight. Good to see everybody.
Hell can't fit us all in. Trying to unaccurately quote a Nickelback song, as I often do. Anyway, $2 super chat.
We might not be able to get a spot at the bar, but there's standing room.
Hell can't handle.
Push your way in there and order your beer, and yeah.
Also, a $2 super chat from Sinister Porpoise saying, like, commenting, and subscribing ensures Valhalla.
That it does, yeah.
Yes. And that is how Thor became to win Thursday. I always like the guy who tries to argue that calendar is, that is the reason for why God exists. But a lot of the days come from pantheistic gods.
I think also if you donate, somebody said that after he donated from us, his faucet had beer coming out of it for like the next month. So try it. Try it. Might work.
Thank you so very much, Sinister. And we will all see us at the end of Valhalla. The very interesting thing about a lot of these religions is they are all end times religions. Now,
I'm sure we'll get there, Danny D. I'm sure we'll make our way to that eventually.
What are we seeing? I'm talking about
Danny Diesel.
Oh my!
Yeah,
I
going
know.
right to the business, huh?
Whew. I will say we have specific counters. It's been only almost 7 minutes, so
Yeah.
I will say it has been a little bit. We haven't been doing our due diligence, and
Thanks for the reminder.
I also normally have to talk about the LGBTQ agenda, generally speaking, because they have guns at my family. Soros, let them live. I'm just kidding. Anyway, just sending so much love to all of the people out there with the Jewish space lasers. She also, I saw that lady when they were given the State of the Union. Good old Jewish space lasers.
Who? Which lady?
Oh God, Maria Bobich. I just know her last name's Bobich, and she looks like if you were to say the word Karen, and I feel bad. We were just talking about this the other show. How it must suck right now to be a good person named Karen. But she looks like a Karen. Bobert.
Like a typical Karen. Asking to see the manager.
Yes. Standing love, I know politics isn't normally our wheelhouse, even though we always sometimes dip our toes in.
Didn't she she's like not gonna have a seat? Didn't they like redistrict her so she's not gonna be in next year? I don't know.
Really? He is.
That's what I read.
He was a heckler. It was Lauren. Lauren. There we go. My mind was melted. What's up, you are Victoria? Thank you so much, Jane. What's up, Big Bad Mama?
Is she the one they had on camera, like groping the guy at the strip club? He's like, she was dating like the owner of a strip club, and they had her on camera, like reaching down his pants. Like, I mean, I guess there's nothing wrong with that, but if you're running on a platform of absolute morality and riding a high horse, it's kind of hey.
Well, that's what they all are. Also, speaking of high horses, and actually the weirdest tangent ever because it's about the LGBTQ and religion, but they've been taking pot shots at the Don't Say Gay law in Florida with Ron DeSantis, which has been interesting. They kind of dismantled a good chunk of it. Now you can say gay. You can say gay again.
Well, I mean, I think most people, they went way, way beyond the pale with that one.
I still, I know I have a million ideas. There's a million. We want to do just the shows we want to say, but I still want to do an SNL style show, a daily style show about religious news.
Well, so Amy, you're an elementary school teacher now. So are the kindergarten and first grade teachers, are they trying to indoctrinate the kids becoming gay, LGBT? Is that like part of the curriculum?
I do get questions like that, and those types of subjects I don't think they even cover until things like middle school.
Right.
We have health things, and it's like, are drugs bad? Yes or no? Should you put ample amount of drugs into your system? Yes, it is basically DARE and teaching about the heart. Should you shove as much candy into your face as possible? And no, when you're also in like the government type of system, you're teaching, like you're allowed to teach the way you want to teach and like certain different things, but it's more like a roller coaster, as in you're on a track and you teach what you're supposed to teach when you're supposed to teach that subject. And
But you do have some leeway, or no, not much.
yes, they basically say you can build whatever curriculum you want from our stuff. And like you can like do some videos and some if you find educational games and stuff, you can use your own stuff like that. But if it's like numbers greater than 100, you better be been teaching numbers greater than 100.
Wow.
And so yeah.
I have to say, like I've said it before, my high school biology class, we that was right after The Matrix came out, and I think we watched that movie like 30 times throughout the year in 10th grade.
Oh, I love The Matrix.
Yeah.
As nerdy and contrarian as it is, and the thing that I always like to say is that red pill came from two T-girls. Ah.
Hey. It is. Hey.
I know. Because really, that originally was way cooler because it had to deal with solipsism, in my opinion. Red pill, blue pill really had to deal with believing you're in a computer system or not. And then, as always, it gets political. Like our podcast already, James. It just seeps in.
Okay. It happens. It happens.
What's up, No Chine? James and I, that's how we got our start here on Modern Day Debate, and I've done many great mods on there, and I should contact them and get back into doing more religious debates, because that's really James and myself.
That's our wheelhouse.
Butter. Yeah. As much as we can talk about all of our agendas, we generally just want to remind people that God doesn't exist. Now,
no good reason to think.
No good reason, exactly. I've been making more strong atheist claims, mostly because our agnostic atheism is fairly secure, and so it allows us to just branch off. Because when you have really no good evidence from the opposition, it makes things just easier, James. We could explore like painters, just sit here with all the time in our world, because there's no good arguments for God.
Like we talked about last time with apologetics, it's like they like, especially in Islam, they make lots of these deistic arguments, but anytime you try to move beyond that, like, okay, all right, let's just say there is a necessary being, agent, whatever, who is it? Anytime you get to that step, all their answers suck. They're all horrible. All the proposed deities, all the designers, all the agents, they're all terrible, filled with internal contradictions and absurdities. None of them make sense.
And almost all of them just have God in the conclusion and never start with God in almost any of the premises. And so they become very weird arguments that don't prove a God.
Yeah. Well, it's like you have to assume there has to be one. If there has to be one, then you have to just pick one. Even if they all suck, even if they're all horrible and don't make sense, it's got to be one of them. So have fun. Which one sucks the least, makes the most sense?
Well, they also start out with things that they feed it with sloppy language, like begins to exist. And so they try and sell you that, don't you know, everything needs a cause. Everything. Absolutely everything. Have we convinced you that everything? Well, great. Well, we have this one thing that doesn't need a cause. But you just spent 20 minutes trying to convince me that everything needs a cause. Except this one thing. Okay, but how not? Why not just the universe? Well, the universe, that needs a cause. Well, yeah.
Jefferson Spatchcock, he was doing an analysis of Darth Dawkins, one of his interactions, and he's pointing out, like, the way he loads the questions, and I mean, we're all familiar with his tactics and whatnot. He is what he is. How he does set the questions up, he like works gotchas in there, and it's just an excuse for him not to continue the conversation like Mr. Batman does. Like, Like he'll ask a ridiculous question about morality, and if you don't answer the question the way he likes, he'll say, "That's it, I'm done, sir. I'm not talking to you anymore because you can't answer." It's like you don't want to have an honest conversation. You're just looking for an excuse not to engage.
Presuppositionalism is half being a lawyer, as in you have to be in the one in control of questions, and then half basically play acting. You have to pretend to get offended when people try to honestly answer them, and basically say that when you give that answer, that you are now basically have no authority to know anything at all. James, you may
So
even
why
be
am
a
I
brain
talking to
bad.
you, sir? Why am I talking to you, sir? You don't know anything.
Also, Sinister Porpoise says, but as the great sages Rush told us in the epic work Free Will, if you choose not to decide, you still made a choice. Yeah, they love free will. That's their terminology. That basically,
I don't think it
God gave us
exists.
free will so we can
No,
basically
he didn't.
worship him. No, I think exactly. I think will is what we can think about, which is, did we walk through the door? Did someone open the door and throw us through it? But free will, and James, not to, talk my shtick, but
Do it to me.
in these two word combinations, it's the word free. Like saying,
yeah, it's like their ultimate. What is their ultimate goal, though? Like, where do they want to go? Well, they want to go to heaven, right? So you ask them, "Will you be able to sin in heaven?" They'll say, "No, no one will sin in heaven." Okay, so you lose free will. So your ultimate goal is to get to a place where you have no free will. You are a mindless robot praising God because that's what you're programmed to do. You don't have the option to make another choice because he has taken that from you, and he just makes you happy. He just makes it so that you're having a great time doing nothing but praising him, and that's eternity.
yeah, I don't get why and it always has to be a he for some reason modernly. He needs us to worship him. Weird.
Well, it's not that
Also,
he needs us to worship him. It's just nice for us to do because we love him so much and he loves us.
he loves
Don't you
us.
tell your Rachel how you love her, how wonderful she is?
And if not, I'll burn her forever and ever and ever. But what's up, better than Ember? Oh, sending love on the Twitch. Pre-sup
see you,
is a
Ember.
game of Mad Libs. At the end of the flowchart is a blank where they plug in God, but it could as easily be Yo Mama. Yes.
Oh.
Basically speaking, they're just trying to straw man and push you into a specific position. Doesn't matter if you say yes or no. They're leading you to God, one way or another.
AJ out there, good to see you, Atheist Junior. He's got a debate coming up with Kent in a few days, I believe. It was the 19th, next Tuesday.
Then I'm sending not only love to AJ, but I'm looking forward to Kent embarrassing himself again, as he often does.
I'm sure it'll be entertaining.
That's all we hope for, right?
Especially because people like AJ, they get under Kent's skin. Like he gets agitated. Like he tries to play it off, but he gets triggered. Which is why I use, like, he gets triggered by Arn Ra, which is why I kind of fucked with him a little bit with Arn Ra the first time I debated him. He gets triggered by Hakel's embryos because he thinks that, he's got such a slam dunk open and shut case on that. Yeah.
Well, Arn doesn't take shit, and then AJ does what Kent normally does, because Kent is used to talking to very formal scientists who will not make jokes, and they will not
They're
say
not going to
things.
troll him.
Yes, they are not going to troll him. And basically what he does is he actually, because he knows much of the science but just rejects all of it, sits there and just says, no, 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 no. You believe it came from a monkey and all this, and makes jokes. However, with AJ, he gets embarrassed. He's not really used to having, someone actually use his own medicine, his fight fire with fire. And I feel the same way,
It's going to be a good debate because this is about Haeckel's embryos. That's the some I mentioned to him in the first debate because he's always running his mouth talking shit about it. When he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. He's accusing somebody of trying to commit fraud when there's no evidence of that. In fact, if anybody's convicted of fraud, well, I mean, he's hardly the one who should be talking about that.
What's up, KCA? What's up, Maya?
You can't pull up Haeckel's. You just have to take his word for it that he was declared a fraud. Huh. Go figure.
Yeah, they also like finding very obscure cases. Like one time in 1842, there was a fraud about a fossil that better science,
or Nebraska man,
then found out was wrong, corrected, and now we have a much better understanding of the fossil record.
And but they still got that wrong. They still got it wrong that time.
That's true.
Okay. Science corrects itself. Religion is wrong and just stays wrong. I think
that's
an Aardvark quote.
I'm waiting for the one time where something was found out to be false and it came from theists. And I don't just mean like a Christian or a Muslim or a Jew being a scientist. I mean like from the field of theology.
Like the Vatican priest who found evidence for the Big Bang from their observatory. I mean,
yes,
he was a Catholic priest, but he was also a scientist. He didn't get his science from the Bible.
He was an actual astronomer.
Critical thinking, yeah, exactly.
What's up, davegar? What's up, everybody? Got a
yeah, he was supposedly tried and convicted by his university of fraud, yet he remained a distinguished professor of comparative anatomy for like 20 years after they supposedly said he's a fraud. It doesn't make any sense.
And yes, AJ is going up against inmate.
Yeah, the trial never happened. No, there's no records of it. It's just in creationist literature. The first round of drawings weren't the best, but they were corrected quick, and there's no evidence that he was trying to deceive anybody. And as AJ is going to show, there are lots of similarities between the embryos of various species. And that's the reality.
They also, and creationists like to hold up charts for children and be like, "You believe this?" It's like, yes, Kent, we do. I don't know what to tell you.
Extremely dumbed down, like non-comprehensive view of it, but it is correct. Leaves a lot out. But
him sitting there like, and it pops up. If it were real, would it really be like this?
You drew lines on paper, and yeah, it's just lines on paper, guys.
Yes, when they draw the tree of life and they're trying to draw basically billions of years within a single sheet of paper for 12-year-olds. You're right, Kent. Still true. In fact, they're often great ways of understanding them. It's just if you want the actual the more complex of a model that you get, it'll have a more accurate understanding. However, they're good graphs. Kent is just being a con artist. Anyway, speaking of con artists, we are talking. If you answer this one question correctly, are you going to heaven? It's, as I was talking about James before, it's bullshit to me because that question deals with, if you're a good person, are you still going to fry? Still going to burn all that, charity
but
work.
Amy, have you ever told a lie?
Exactly.
Have you ever
A
taken
single
something
lie.
have you ever taken anything in your life that didn't belong to you? Okay, have you ever yeah. So you're a lying thief, and what is God going to do with you on Judgment Day? Where do you deserve to go?
You know, burn hell forever. I also like, sometimes I get systems. I had someone the other day that it was like, well, some people are there forever, but others get out.
Hell?
Yeah. But
Well,
they're making it up as they also
in the
go along.
Catholicism and the Orthodox religions, there's like purgatory, so it's kind of like hell, but you get out eventually. I don't know. All this Christian theology, it's all just a crapshoot,
Fan fiction? Yes, that was my second thing.
basically.
I have. Not only is it a great snack, but it's a great companion on a lonely Saturday night. What were we talking about? Anyway, apparently we need to talk into heaven. Let's quickly shout out our shout outs, and then we'll do this video. It's a snack bite of an opposition, though it's a lot of goodness in that, a filet mignon. And then I'm gonna open it up and see if we can basically just keep on telling theists that their God doesn't exist until they come on to tell us why we're wrong. But God doesn't exist. Anyway, we have many people that support our show, sending so much love to them. You can do so by sending super chats like Sinister sent in. Oh, I didn't do this.
Nope, got the dance.
Oh, there's a box behind me. Anyway, super chats, we'll read them out. We'll interact with them and say things. And then you can send in a super thanks.
What's the shirt, Amy?
Oh, yes. Y'all need,
All you need is science. Okay.
science.
Y'all need science.
It's true. And it's true about this video. Oh my goodness. Because
now,
really,
sir, y'all need Jesus. That's all y'all needed, Jesus.
But if that's all you need, that means you can, kill a bunch of people, do a bunch of terrible things. But but if
you had the Holy Spirit in your heart, you would never do that. So if anybody does that, they don't have the Holy Spirit in their heart.
Or what I normally find is they say, well, yes, they have to come to Jesus, but they have to mean it, James. All right? Yes, we killed a bunch of people and we came to Jesus, but do we really mean it?
Well, I mean, that's like even our current Pope, who is certainly more moderate than most of his predecessors, even he, when he was Archbishop of Buenos Aires, would have priests on staff, on command, during the Pinochet regime, where he would send his goon squads out to murder or beat up people who were hostile to the dictatorship. And he would make sure there were priests on hand to absolve them of their sins right after that, so that if they were to, die later on that night, they would be able to go to heaven. Hey, they just went out and killed people. We don't want them to go to hell for that. So we'll make sure there's a priest on standby.
Forgive me so much because of the cat and my charging headphones.
Buttercup?
Oh, I know. Yes. No, that is Moonlight. The Buttercup's probably prowling somewhere. Or that is Moonlight. Did I still say Buttercup even after? Everyone always asks me why not midnight, and I always say because there were a lot of midnights, and so I chose Moonlight just to be a little bit avant-garde. It's why when I went that phase of AMI, sometimes you just got to be different, James. And then I'm like,
that the Pope, when he was in charge of Catholicism in Chile, would cooperate with the regime, the Pinochet regime, and when he would send his death squads out to kill or beat up people who were hostile to his dictatorship, he would make sure there were priests on standby to absolve them of their sins as soon as they got back. So that way, if later on that night they have a heart attack and die, they won't go to hell because they just killed somebody for, opposing the regime. So they'll be absolved of it. They'll be okay. They're good Catholics, Amy.
Exactly. You wouldn't want something to happen to them right then and there after the pew, pew, pew. Anyway, sending so much love to Turing Test for 666. God's not
Bree
real,
out there. Good to
folks.
see you, Bree.
Get over it. Yes, that is true.
Thank you, Turing Test. Yeah, got Bree
God
out there.
is not
Good
real.
to see Bree.
What's up, Bree? Sending so much love, and you should go follow her channel.
Ken took a shot at one of her sister channels, another reptile channel last week. So Clint's Reptiles, I think. Maybe Bree will be on that list too. Maybe he'll take a shot at her coming up.
Well, she always
Matt Powell knows exactly who she is. So
many great episodes on a wide variety of animals and our invertebrate brothers and sisters who, a lot of insects who I actually am okay with. I know there's a lot of people, they go the further away from our genes, and yet I think some insects are cute. I think, and now the cat went in, the cat went out. Hold on. This would have been easier. I got charged.
Bree, are you related to beetle? Amy, are you related to a mosquito?
Yes. Oh, that's the other thing. I don't know why. They're always triggered by us being related to other animals. Like, it is just very... Afraid of Reid. Yeah, well, Ken is afraid of basically anyone with knowledge or a sense of humor. But thank you so very much, Turing Test. It is true. It's one of our superstitions that unfortunately has been sticking around with us much longer than it needs to. It's religion. Some people ask us why we focus so much on religion, and it's because it's still the major superstition out there in the United States. A giant majority of people still believe in some sort of invisible deity, being. I just combined being and deity. Yeah, it doesn't need to exist. But thank you so much, Turing Test. They are contingent on us to exist. I want to keep on being spicier because the theists always seem to go, oh my goodness, how dare you make that argument? As if, a lot of their arguments don't even lead to God, or they just have God in the conclusion. And they're very easy to pick apart or self-engineer and turn back, which generally means that they're full of shit. They shouldn't be put to use. Yes. Oh, what's up, P-Town? This is why our opposition opinions all getting over soon. Because, well, not soon. It's just, our filet mignon, but we want to at least invite our theist brothers and sisters on. We can't help ourselves. All right, let's do it. But also just sending so much love out. You can join our members with our evolving badge system down there. Things evolve. Our badges evolve, and evolutionary biology is a fact. Okay, now it's cat once in, cat one out. But yes, I was talking to a Muslim the other day who said, well, we don't learn about evolution in our country at all. And all that means is that you're breaking my heart and you're not learning the vast majority of what you need to become a doctor. Well, and listen, there are many fields that, I'm sure...
like down here, even in America, they hardly taught evolution. They hardly mentioned it in school because it's just so political and so easy for them to just skip over and gloss over all that because it's controversial. So hey,
And yet
they barely
viruses
touched it.
and vaccines only make sense in light of evolution. It is
Everything
Pi
I've learned
Day.
about it, basically, I had to self learn because they didn't teach it.
That is a shame and makes me cry a little bit on the inside. Gonna take a moment of
But
silence for all of the states right now that teach that Adam and Eve is a documentary.
so you don't learn about it in school. Amen.
Gay men, exactly.
And then you go to Sunday school and they tell you it's just a bunch of nonsense. Don't pay any attention to it. It's stupid. It's so you don't actually learn. You get a straw man version of it, and then once you do the research for yourself, once you start actually reading actual books on the topic, you figure out, hey, there's actually good reasons why they believe this. It actually does make perfect sense, and yeah, we were lied to. They lied to us in church, and yeah.
If we come from monkeys, why are there still monkeys? It makes just too much sense. I know I want my rib back, gosh darn it. Not to mention the LGBTQ agenda so much already, but they're always like, you are going to talk about biology? Yes. From the people who brought you the McRib version of women. Yes, I am going to talk about biology. James.
Of all people.
I know,
You.
of all people. Me? But I think that that men can give, and it's always a straw man. See, that's the difference. Theirs is a straw man, but when I say there's literally, it's ridiculous. Like when they say you believe that a man can give birth to a baby, they know that it's a transgender man, that they are one sex, but their gender does not align, and that they are giving birth. They almost have to, like, we all know this. They know this to make the joke. And yet, when I say snakes don't have, like, the bones within their neck to be allow them to make speech, they're like,
don't have a voice
well,
box.
so
They don't.
Exactly, don't have a voice box. They're like, oh, it's a fucking miracle. Oh, so it's a miracle.
Or do they have the
like the
prefrontal cortex to understand language and be able to say anything or understand anything like that? Yeah.
Also, yes, pay your taxes, ladies and gentlemen. Even the Joker knows the IRS will get you.
I pay every tax I owe. I pay every tax I owe. I pay lots of taxes. When I went to the store and bought a candy bar, look, I paid 8 cents tax on that. I pay taxes all the time. It's just this illegal, unconstitutional IRS dictatorship that we live under. That's the only taxes I don't pay. I think that was Atheist Junior who called him out on that, like property taxes. I can't. You're a nonprofit. You don't pay property taxes either. It's like, well, yeah, I don't, but
full shit.
Yeah.
But yes, this is selling the invisible product. Where is
Sinister's coding in Python? That's what she means. It's Python to speak.
Python to speak, but Python's a good language. Rachel just learned Python 2 semesters ago. She took intro to Java last semester. I do like Python. Python is a great language, and it's also, like, for how non-difficult it is, you can build a lot with it in comparison to Java or fucking C++, where you need to basically write a manual and a love story just to make a print statement. But hey, yeah, we're gonna review a video. However, the video
pretty short,
very short. So we'll just quickly, I'm just going to send love out too. And the other thing, the last Shilly McShilling thing is our Patreon at patreon.com. So you can fight the man. Who's the man? I don't know. And why is it always a man? God, my hair is just turning blue now. They already thought that I was the blue-haired feminist. I have a lip piercing. I know. I'm trying to save the whales, I think. Sending so much love to Dale Pastel.
Some of you and Ken can work together on saving the whales. There you go.
Yeah, he wants to save the whales, but like, I just get a little bit creeped out,
Sexually assaulting a whale.
I know. He wants to be really close to the whale while we save the whale. He wants to measure things while we save the whale. And interestingly enough, it's never like the top or the middle part of the whale.
Always down that back end of it, huh?
He's down below.
Oh, never mind. That's a female whale. Nothing to see here. Move on.
That would be funny. I hate to say it. Not that there's anything wrong with that if Kent was gay. No, he just does gravity experiments on his wife.
There's no such thing as a female whale. I have never seen one. They are all male.
I'm sure. No, just like Jesse Lubusa.
For a female whale?
Yeah.
That would be gay.
You don't want a female there. That would ruin all the fun. You need it to be a man's job.
A sausage fest for the whales.
For the whales. Oh my goodness. These apologists.
Yes, thank you so much, Dale, for your support.
Thank you, Dale. Thank you so much. Davegar reminding us the Earth is 4.5 billion years old. I don't know what to tell you. It's also thick. If you think that the Earth is flat and it's because of the Bible, you're wrong. Yes. Sending so much love to Davegar. Sending so much love to Azo. Reminding us. No, but weirdly enough, I don't know why so much flat earthers are, for whatever reason, fundamentalist Christians. Yeah, there's a few.
Or Islam.
What's it called? Down under my desk, working on my girl knob. Iron. Aussie. Flat Earth Aussie, who we call him the pit. He's one of two pantsless apologists that we now keep under my desk because they were caught naked while doing debates. That is Iron and our friend
Gavin.
Gavin. Yes, I keep them in French maids outfits down here.
Yeah.
Funny enough. Keeps them from not running on camera naked.
Crotchless Speedos?
Crotchless Speedos, of course. The Earth is thick. That's right. And we like a thick Earth. It's okay. Sending so much love. What's up, Flum? And sending love to Chris Disciple, reminding us that the Skeptic and Ranting community does have theists as well. We just are skeptical about our belief system. Sending so much love, Chris, and so much love, Azo, reminding us you can join the Skeptic and Ranting community. There's also our Discord. You can see
to see
it down in the link in the description below. What's up, Titan? Your anus. Just like to say,
I don't see much from Gavin anymore since him and Praise had that falling out.
Since they got divorced.
Yeah,
sad.
I don't hear much from Gavin.
Yeah, Praise didn't upgrade. He got those two ladies.
Olive and Sparrow. Yeah. Feminized the channel a little bit. Needs a woman's touch, huh?
Instead of running around naked, it now has a poster in the back that says "Live, Love, Pray."
Don't take marital advice from him. We all know he made a few mistakes on that end.
Yeah, or Kent, who once again he used to be a lay physicist, as in he used to do gravity experiments on his wife, and they were peer reviewed by a jury of his peers, where they found the experiments to be credible, and so he had to, I think, be documented. But yes, sending love also to Rachel Holen, reminding us
Thanks, Rachel.
that you don't need to get slaves from the nation around you. You can just go grab a femboy. Just go, and with permission and consent, but go to a club or go to a D&D night, and most likely you can, find a femboy or someone worth collaring that will do so with consent. Also, sending love to, thank you, Rachel. Our last two, but certainly not least, Rejos, reminding us we have it upcoming as well. Skeptic Bible Study. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We roast the Bible mostly by reading it. Oh my goodness. And it only has two modes. I'm going to keep on saying that. Exposition or everyone dies. And I don't know which one I want. Because, I think we get more viewers when the swords come out. However, sometimes we should take one for the team, James, and just enjoy the fact that although they're giving out someone else's land, they're not killing everybody at that moment in that chapter.
Small victories, small
victories.
Daily victories, yeah.
And if you think I'm being topical or political, I'm not. That is what they're doing in Joshua. I didn't make up the Bible. You go blame the Bible or the Torah or whatever you would like, because we're still in the Old Testament right now. He calls himself jealous. How do you not look like a supervillain? I just imagine someone taking like a crown and a sword and just being like, that's right, peasants. You will call me jealous. And everyone around is like, that's the good guy. That the good God finally took over.
Yeah, you better think that. Otherwise, well, yeah.
But thank you, Rejos. And last but not least, thank you so much, Ian Davenport.
Thanks, Ian.
Thank you so much, Ian. And reminding us that apologetic arguments suck. And so, I don't know what to say, but a watchmaker isn't very gay, because gay is good. I brought up the agenda again, James. I just can't help myself. But yes, all of the apologetics, whether it's watchmaker, contingency, whether we are actually trying to use the holy book, which is ridiculous. Not even Kent really does that. He knows that's stupid. That's why he attacks evolution, so he can at least talk about science, even if he's denying science. He's like, and all of these other creationists, because if you're trying to defend like the first century, not just like the first century rabbi said nice things, don't hurt your fellow person, but then it's like, no, but he also did magic tricks. Much harder.
Well, it's funny because he's done debates before where, like, his opening, he spends about half that time with Bible verses, reading from the Bible, this verse, that verse, God did this, God did that. But then if you want to ask him any questions about the Bible, like, we're not here to talk about the Bible, we're here to talk about evolution. We're here to justify, like, wait a minute, Kent, you're the one who brought the Bible up. You've been talking about it nonstop. As soon as I mention it, no, we're not here to debate the Bible.
No.
Yeah.
Yes, and they also
talk about your beliefs, evolution on trial.
They gish gallop or bring up a billion different topics, and when you actually bat most of them away, they say, why are you going on to so many topics? I've seen that in debates as well. So, good times. But yes, I'm actually, James, I am going to hand it over to you, because I'm going to be right back for 1 second, and then we're going to come back and do the opposition viewpoint. But we are talking the very short title. If you answer this question correctly, You are going to heaven? James, I'm holding a card right now, and there's an answer on the back. So I hope you answer right, because, there's like only 2 doors.
Really? Well, how's everybody doing tonight? It's good to be back. It's been kind of a hectic week, but we're running down to the very end of it, so it's good to be back. Yeah. It's a short little video that Amy found. I think it would be interesting to take a look at, but we only have she's always running under limited time. Good to see a Titan. See what was going on this week. I saw Jefferson Spatchcock. He did that video about Darth Dawkins going over an interaction he had with a TikToker, and that was fun. That was always interesting to see what he's up to, Darth, because he just you kind of never know what he's going to say. He follows a script, but every once in a while, crazy shit will come out of his mouth. Like that. Like, oh, I don't know. Video quality. Maybe the connection's just a little okay right now. We'll hope that holds up. But yeah, rolling into the weekend. I think Amy's got her Sunday show that she does. Check back for that. And yeah, Darth Dawkins. I hardly ever see anything from him anymore, so you almost forget that he's still out there, but he's still out there. He's still out there. Atheist Jr., I mentioned before. He's got a debate coming up with Kent on Mr. Anderson's channel, I believe. Next Tuesday. Specifically on Haeckel's embryos. It's a good chance to take Kent to task about that, because that's something that he likes to advance that argument. He hasn't gotten a lot of pushback, but this will be a good chance for AJ to give him some real pushback on that. It's kind of just like a freebie, because it's just a minor issue that most of the scientists are focused on other things for them to go back and refute that. But so it's kind of just a freebie, something Kent gets to throw out there that's not true, slander somebody. But yeah, all the arguments he makes are bad. They're all bad, including the slander about Haeckel. That's bad too. Just because I think it's not like, if you were going to give like the top 3 or 4 or 5 things, evidences for evolution, the embryos probably wouldn't be on there, because we have other things that are, perhaps a bit stronger, but there was a time where they were used, and the comparison is still valid. It makes sense. He just doesn't like it. He just doesn't like that all the embryos happen to look very similar, and a god wouldn't have to do it that way. A god could do it any way they want, so they're all distinctly different. Evolution can't do that. Evolution can only work with what it has. Everything is only a modified version of what came before it. There's no grand plan, no guidance. It's an unguided process. There's no goal to it. It's just a mechanism that lets life survive on Earth. Oh, that's probably good fun. Just keep doing what you're doing. You'll be fine. Man, yeah. Otherwise, it's been a pretty quiet week, right? Reckonings going on in the political world, as always, but going to be election year, going to be tumultuous, especially a few months from now, but then kind of, well, there you go, Titan. We all come from embryos. Why are there still embryos? Yeah. Why do they look so similar? Kent's he's always doing these, like, oh, we'll put a dog, a wolf, a coyote, and an octopus on a screen, and we'll ask a 4-year-old, okay, which one is not like the other? So a 4-year-old can tell that those are all the dog kind, right? Well, if you put all those embryos together, they're probably all going to look very similar. Not so easy to pick out which one doesn't belong anymore, right? Yeah, because at a fundamental level, we are still related. Maybe more distantly, but it's still nonetheless true. So they just don't like that. And they're basically grasping for straws, trying to hold on to any reason they have to doubt it. Make no mistake, they have no good reasons anymore. It's all their arguments have been thoroughly debunked. The new ones they come out with, they get torn apart pretty quickly too. But hey, got to admire their determination to keep trying to deny reality. They're adept at it. They're getting pretty good at it. But if you live in just that echo chamber, if you don't branch out, just go in their chat sometimes. See like the comments they make, like it's obviously been debunked, or it's obvious nonsense, obvious fraud. And I think a lot of them really think that because they only live in that bubble, and they never venture out. I think part of it's because they don't want to know. If there's something else out there, if they're wrong, they would rather not know. And yeah, they would rather live in a fantasy world, live in a world of their own creation, almost, that is very disjointed from reality in a lot of ways. But hey, if they didn't do it, we wouldn't be here to point it out, right?
Indeed, indeed. And all right, we are going to get into the opposition viewpoint. We are, in fact, going to be watching a video from the channel Going Through the Bible called If You Answer This Question Correctly, You Are Going to Heaven. Growing through the Bible, not going through the Bible. You're going to the Bible. Wow. So let's get into it and let's have some fun, because we are about to learn the one question. And I always think this stuff, just semi-annoys me. I think.
Would you like fries with that? Is that the question?
Yes, I would like fries.
Fries or onion rings?
But this type of question somehow annoys me because it gets people off. As in, to me, they think this is morality. I think it's just a get out of, jail free card. Just get on your knees, kiss the ring. Do. Anyway, that's right. But what if you don't want to? That's okay. I'm sure that it's a loving God, and they will just send us to the warm, happy place anyway. Or as they'll say, well, it is warm. Anyway, let's get to the fun. If you answer this question correctly, you are going to heaven.
When you die, if God asks, what are you relying on for salvation from the lake of fire and justification for entry to heaven, what would you say?
The Wendy's menu.
Well, I think I'm a good person and I've done more good than bad in my life.
Wrong. Ephesians
Wrong.
chapter 2 verses
You're
8
still
and 9
terrible.
say, For by grace are ye saved through faith, and that not of yourselves, it is the gift of God, not of works, lest any man should boast. Furthermore, Isaiah 64 verse 6 says, But we are all as an unclean thing, and all our righteousnesses are as filthy rags.
Oh,
You don't even know me.
it's okay. You can watch
I can't even
those,
remember the last time I did anything really bad.
even if they're crispy.
Well, although God wants us to do good things, He does not want us to boast pridefully about them, because Jesus' great sacrifice is sufficient to save us and
Did anyone hear that? I want you to hear that, because I keep on.
us to boast pridefully about them, because Jesus' great sacrifice is sufficient to save us, and pride was Lucifer's original sin, which
So don't be prideful about the good things that you did. Also, Jesus's sacrifice was kind of awesome. I don't know. Sounds like Jesus is just kind of boasting. I mean, come on. 3-day weekend.
He's allowed. He's allowed.
Oh, exactly. Exactly. It was just a bad weekend.
Weekend at Bernie's 26.
Yes.
Caused him to rebel against God and have himself and a third of the angels who followed him be destined for the lake of fire in the future. Lucifer became the devil
Which
and
makes
he
no sense,
retaliated
but
by
whatever.
causing Adam and Eve to sin against God and get kicked out of the Garden of Eden.
Retcon.
Adam and Eve developed a corrupt sin nature because of this, and all their human descendants inherited not just their sin nature, but also the penalty,
Totally
which is the lake
fair.
of fire. However, God the
One
Father loved
mistake,
humanity so much
forever,
that he did not
ever.
want us to perish in the lake of fire which he prepared for the devil and his angels, so he
Yeah,
sent his only
he
son.
loved us so
Jesus
much,
Christ,
so
God
he
the Son,
allowed
take
maybe
punishment,
5% of humanity to avoid it, but the rest of them who never heard about Jesus or whatever, yep, they're going. But hey, he could send everybody there. He didn't have to give you a chance. He could create trillions of people just to torture them forever, but he didn't do that.
I also like the notion that God went to like plan B. Like, well, God was just gonna use it for like demons and fallen angels, but like you guys have been such dicks that I'm gonna throw you down there.
Oh, that's like the I forget who did that, the video or the cartoon skits of that. And like, so since you've already got hell, you've already got it there. Hey, might as well use it for people too, right? Yeah, hey.
Exactly.
Might as well.
James, if you
There.
have extra storage, I mean, come on, use it. And my goodness, I have to let the kitty in, out, in, out.
By being humiliated, tortured, and killed on the cross by his own creations, in addition to spiritually receiving the unimaginable punishment for all of humanity's past, present, and future sins.
Of course.
Jesus was raised from the dead 3 days later by God the Holy Spirit in victory over the penalty of sin. In other words, God did the hard work so we could easily
But wait a minute. So if humans have to, if humans sin and they die, they have to go to hell forever. But Jesus just had to do 3 days, and then he didn't have to. So he didn't really have to pay the full penalty, did he? Because if that was true, he would still be there. So it doesn't even really make sense. But hey, doesn't have to. Believe it anyway.
I also like that they basically said, Jesus, God, he did the heavy lifting, okay? He did the work for you. But I also want to know what it's like to be the demon in hell that's like torturing Jesus. It's got to be a good gig, right? Because normally you're just teaching, you're just torturing like your average Joe. He tried to live a good life, but he didn't believe. He believed in some pagan god or something. And so, you're just doing the normal, horrible things forever to him. But now you get to do Jesus. Oh, what a good day. At least for 3 days. It's like a weekend of torturing Jesus.
Escape the lake of fire if only we truly believe he did this for us. With this in mind, you must realize just how insulting it is for us to think that our good works could ever compare to his incredible sacrifice.
No.
God gave humanity a special gift and responsibility of
There's
free will.
nurses and doctors that save thousands of lives. This guy, unfortunately, died in a painful method that many other people died just like him. And so while it sucked, they always are like, well, he did nothing wrong ever. That's not really how humans work.
After the Third Servile War, like up to 10,000 slaves were crucified on the Appian Way. All they did was want their freedom. They didn't want to be slaves anymore. That's pretty much a normal human right to want to be free, to not want to be considered property. But hey, they lost to the Roman legion. They all got crucified.
I like how it's also for a sin that happened generations and generations and generations ago, which to me is a sick concept. The whole Applegate incident is not cool.
Well, because God told them they would die. Where did God tell them, by the way, as soon as you sin, then everybody born after you is going to default to hell. And the only way they can be saved is if they come to this knowledge somehow, some way during their life. I'm not going to make sure they find out about it. That's on them. I don't care. They never find out about it. They never find out. They go to hell.
But he did die for you. You didn't get a choice in it, but he did die for you. And I also like the other guilt trip. They're like, are you telling me that he and the apostles died for nothing? Yeah. That's how... I don't know how to say it. That's how movements that, generally speaking, they
like the Buddhist monks who douse themselves in gasoline and lit themselves on fire to protest war. I mean, we still have war, so didn't stop war, but they obviously believed in something.
It doesn't matter if you die for something that you believe in, and I mean that in the best possible way. I know, as in to say that doesn't make something more true or not. The 9/11 hijackers, they believed it. They believed they were doing good
the right
things.
You think they thought they were going to be rewarded when they got to heaven?
Rewarded.
You know, of course they did.
Religion.
And then the Christians will get all righteous about that. Yeah. Then when they got to see God, he was pissed at them. They went to hell. They found out they were with the wrong religion. Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, because they were terrorists. But what about all the people in the concentration camps who were killed for being Jewish? What happened to them? Oh, well, I mean, so they went to hell too. Really?
Or all the people, whenever you do that kind of stuff, they say, well, they went to heaven, which they have this torture event, and then everyone gets to heaven. And you know who gets to go to heaven, James? All the people that they seem to like. And you know who gets to go to hell, James? All the people that they don't seem to like. And so God oddly seems to correlate one-on-one with every believer's beliefs. It's amazing how that happens. But yes, we're looking at if you answer this one question correctly, you're going to heaven. And that answer, I guess, is not being a good person. That is not going to get you to heaven. Let's just eliminate that one right off the bat.
Which he did not give to the animals, so he cannot force us to choose him.
Oh, yeah.
We have...
they just were saying that he didn't give free will to other animals. I'm putting in the other in there because Christians and Muslims and Jews sometimes, and they don't believe that other animals deserve respect and that we are lording over them. Good night, Ember. Sending love to all of you out there. Send love to Corey. If I didn't send love to you, also say hi to us, and we'll say hi to you. Or also tag us at James W. at Amy Newman, and we will interact because I have ADD and I can't help myself. That was the other thing. I was listening to you while I was there, and just precepts are just so annoying. What was I trying to say besides precepts are just annoying? It was born out of just, I think, a need to really defend against atheism because they can't defend their book. Almost that same thing.
Their evidentialist claim for losing. Yeah.
It's just, like I said, to defend the snake in the apple is like defending Hansel and Gretel. Like, they are equivalent stories. I know they think that they're not, but they are.
But imagine the claim they're making right here, though. What he's saying is, God gave us free will. We're not like the animals, Amy, so he can't force you to worship him. Okay, so he gives you an option. He will not force you, Amy. So you can either go to heaven and spend eternity worshiping him, or you have the option of going to hell and being burned alive forever. But the choice is yours. It's all up your choice. You decide. He won't force you. There's no coercion. But you make your own choice, your own free will.
It's a choice, but it's really an ultimatum, and I'm not a fan of ultimatums. It's literally like saying it's like being in a catapult, and the guy holds the lever, and it's like, do you want to marry me, or my hand might fall off this lever? I don't know what happened, officer. She launched herself. She told me that it was okay with my hand falling off it.
Well, I mean, the robber who's holding a gun to you, he gives you a choice. You could choose not to hand over the money, and then implied that's So just imagine the police get there, and he tells the officers, like, no, I didn't rob the money. He freely gave me the money.
And
it was a choice. They gave it to me of their own free will.
Apologetics, like he's all knowing. But how does all knowing mean the guy that just shot, like you were saying, shot an innocent person in the back of the head? How does God being all knowing? But see, they just come up. They could just retcon everything. You could just say they go to heaven if they're a good person. I don't know. It's just making it up as you go along. But that's what bullshit artists do. Anyway, speaking of bullshit artists, back to this very high-end res film that we are watching.
To make a genuine informed choice in our hearts.
To be honest, I can't argue when you put it that way.
Well,
I grew up in a Christian family and I went to church whenever I could, so I thought that I was doing enough.
I like how this is taking podcast.
The perfect God gave the Israelites the 10 Commandments as a mirror to show that us imperfect human beings are hopelessly incapable of keeping them perfectly, because breaking just one means breaking them all in God's eyes.
All right, this is what I couldn't help but think about this over and over. This breaking one means that you break all of them, because we don't follow almost, like, not even a half dozen, like 2 or 3 of the 10 are actual laws, and the other, like covet, is probably what our country was founded on. But like, to say that if you stole a loaf of bread during a natural disaster is the same as killing someone is stupid. And that is why religion is not a moral system, because it can't have nuance unless you just cafeteria it.
Well, Amy, that's a crime against God. That is a crime against faith, because you should have faith that God will provide for you. So if you take it of your own to steal, well, you're turning your back on God, because you're not trusting in him to provide for your needs like he says he will.
Yes, and God always wants you on his knees. The phrase Lord and Savior creeps me out. I can't convey it enough, because it's almost culturally an acceptable phrase, and yet really creepy. Your Lord and Savior. Because when I always say that religions are cults, they're just like really big cults, I get a lot of flack. And yet
Coalson made it. They went mainstream.
Yeah. Almost that they're so big that it's hard to have full control over the public. It's like, would the Catholic Church like to have direct control over, their flock? Yes. Can they? No. And so they can't really be a cult because they're across the pond. And so people just do what they want to do. And then there's a lot of Protestantism. We have our weird, friggin' like a dozen different denominations that just people came over here and they're like, we're not going to let anyone be in control of us except this dude, this one dude. We're going to really like this one charismatic dude. And they do it all over again. Well, just Joseph Smith and the charismatic preachers and all. Basically, they end up doing it in a fractal way. But yes, we get weird religions. The people always say you're going to take pot shots at the Amish. Yes. Okay. I'm not saying I've never bought a piece of furniture from them. Okay. That we weirdly. But
doesn't mean they're all bad people.
No, it's not that they're not bad. It's not they're bad people. It's not that I'm not going to stop pretending like it's not weird. that they chose a very specific era. Because we look at them and go, they're old-timey. And yet, kind of, as in like 200 years ago. But 200 years ago is not 2,000 years ago. They still have technology. They just don't use like the modern electronics that we all think of as modern. And yet, and to me, it's just, it's somewhere, because of its smallness, it's even closer to a little cult. And so we normalize it because it's like, well, damn, they make good cookies. And I'm not even saying I'm not guilty of it myself. My gosh darn, that cult makes good cookies. Just they make good furniture. I'm just not going to keep on pointing out that it's very weird. And that's religion in a nutshell, is it makes you do weird things because you think God wants you to. Who knows if the just a random dude just probably said that, and then they, he made up a new doctrine, and then now they all follow that.
Everything's a religion, though, Amy. You worship at the cult of Apple. You go out and buy their overpriced phones and watches because you worship them. The cult of Apple.
That's right, the cult of Apple. And also, if I can find chat, that's right. Did you all know? I don't know if you know, but a book did say a thing. It is extremely true. I still think. I thought a theist for a second, but I think that was just chat catching up. Theist, please join and tag us so that we can talk with you. We love you. It's like OkCupid, except for we're probably going to disagree on stuff.
Jesus later explained that even dwelling on sins in our minds, such as lust and hatred, is the same as fornication and murder.
I was going to say thought crime,
Ask yourself
exactly.
honestly, have you ever ignored God, blasemed his name, lied, stolen, coveted, or not?
If you're walking down the street and you look at a woman's cleavage, that's the same as adultery. Something we know everybody does every day. Everybody does it.
I'm also going to say murder. Murder's on the list. You cannot make lots of lesser, none of us like stealing. I think it's morally wrong to steal. I do not think, not only is it, if we do the generous version where it's like, oh my goodness, a family, they floated over to a store and got a loaf of bread from the lights were out and no one was there, to the teenager who just steals an electronic. Both of those things, not murder. Never going to be murder.
Of course, you see
no.
Picture where the white people stealing the bread will be labeled as refugees, and everybody else who's not white will be looters and murderers and marauders.
Wow. Yeah. Not to get political again, but yes.
I've
seen almost montages.
I think we're getting a little bit better about that. But
that
in the past, that's the way it's always been portrayed.
Oh, but hopefully we're also getting less religious. People often ask me, they say, Amy, why don't you focus more, as much as we bring up the agenda, they say, why don't you just, focus entirely on the agenda? And as much as I like having butt sex, I will say that the people who hate us are the religious. I don't know what to tell.
Where almost all of it comes from.
And yes, I'm sure there's a non-believer and a skeptic out there that is gonna, say some, if I say these words, if I say homophobic and transphobic, ooh. But yes, if they say things like that, they most likely are going to have a religious background. And so why attack the fruit when I've come to enjoy LGBTQ stuff just because it's become so easy to debate, and they're all getting in the closet, all of them, except for the deeply religious.
It's a triggering factor too. It really, really can trigger them.
But all right, and they also like to lump it in, and then we'll finish it out. But they always go things like, well, everything's a sin. It doesn't matter if it's murder or theft or homosexuality. And so, once again, we are. Sometimes they even do other sorts of horrible crimes, and they try and make that the equivalent. To me, that means it's the religion that is bad. Sending so much love, and let's
Be
get back
treated
into
in any
it.
way? If so, it proves you have a sin nature which cannot be allowed into a perfect and pristine heaven.
Born wrong.
That's because sin,
Why?
like viruses and bacteria, it multiplies, corrupts, and eventually destroys. Just think of the constant fighting, hatred, lies, famines, diseases, death, debauchery, crime, destruction,
That was
godless.
just a single Saturday night.
So, well, let me ask you this. So, if because virtually all Christians believe in deathbed conversions, so if you've been a complete asshole your whole life, but you convert to Christianity right before you die, they would all pretty much say, "Yeah, you go to heaven, of course." So, apparently, that doesn't defile heaven. God can cleanse them before they get to heaven, and there's no contamination of heaven. There's no sin, so God can do that, right? But the other people like, no, it's not that he wants to send you to hell. It's that he can't allow sin in heaven, Amy. It's not that it's not vindictive. He just can't let you into heaven because you're a sinner. That's why.
So why not just make us sinless?
Right.
All because of the fruit.
He can.
We have to keep on copy and pasting from the first mistake. He doesn't know how.
He can do it, apparently. He just doesn't want to do it 95% of the time.
Makes sense. And so godlessness, we're spending here. Can't have liars in heaven. What's up, Corey? I
Lying for Jesus.
love. That's one of my favorite claims, is that God can't lie, because it implies the liar type of God, and that would be hilarious.
God trying to say the pen is red or black.
Well, exactly. The pencil is glue. Oh, god damn it. Yes, basically. But it contradicts with all powerfulness, because if he has all power, but he can't lie, and they'll say it's against his nature. Okay, that's cool. But that's a power. That's a thing. Humans find that very easily, unfortunately. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, God could have gave us his nature, but he didn't. He chose to give us the nature that can choose to be different from him. He just punishes us if we ever make that choice.
Also, I'm glad to just have you on here, Corey. I want to get through this so we can just get through. But it's we are finding some amazing wisdom from these characters that look like they've been rendered in
cheap AI,
2000,
like budget AI,
something like that.
And other evils historically and currently between individuals and people groups, which seem to be getting worse. Therefore, just like viruses and bacteria can be eradicated with intense heat, sin must eventually be eradicated in the lake of fire. Sadly, that includes those who choose to go there by refusing to simply trust in Jesus' death, burial, and resurrection as a free, undeserved gift of sacrifice for all their sins past, present, and future.
Oh, now I get it. Now I get it. That's funny. I used to be a terrible person. Now I'm a terrible person. Saved by God's grace. Basically. Oh my goodness. Oh, here we go. She's being saved. Let's come to the conclusion. She found Jesus again, because she didn't really find Jesus. She had already found Jesus, but she was only going there on Christmas.
She was just going through the motions. She wasn't a true believer.
Yes. She thought just being a good person was going to get her into heaven. That's ridiculous.
I'm tempted to believe, but it seems too good to be true.
Does it
Just-
really?
It is
Yeah,
true and it is good.
Just give
That's why
yourself
it's called the
to the
gospel, which means good news.
Do we have any
The
evidence
good
of this?
news is
No?
that if you
No
genuinely
evidence?
believe that Jesus
No?
Christ,
Oh,
God
okay.
the
Hold on
Son,
here. Oh my
became a
God.
man,
James, I want you to know that down here, if you look very, very closely, earrings are on sale for $32.99.
was sacrificed on the cross for all our sins and triumphantly came back to life 3 days later, we will be saved from everlasting regret and torment in the lake of fire, and we will enjoy
Oh,
peace
boy.
and happiness forever in the afterlife with God.
I like how it's just like horribleness, terribleness, lake of fire, and then smile time.
Thank you so much for clarifying.
I'm sorry.
That's an amazing clarification. Thank you so much. Thank you for making it make sense to us. We're all blown away by the logic and the just amazing performance here.
It makes too much sense not for it not to be true.
Don't you see, Amy? That's the beauty of it. People couldn't make this shit up. It's batshit crazy from human terms, so it's got to be
Exactly.
true.
I also like how it was fire and torment just a second ago, and now there's a woman smiling and confetti pouring
I was
down.
gonna say, that's confetti coming down like The Price is Right.
We
Come
won!
on down!
James, and we get to be contestants on the You Better Be Worship Me or I'm Gonna Burn You Forever show.
The sodomy is right.
That's right. What's up, Organic? What's up, Hooligan? What's up, everybody? Yeah, this woman is so happy. She found Jesus again. Again.
Finally, I feel such relief, peace, and joy from truly believing that Jesus'
Yay.
sacrifice is enough to save me and that I don't have to rely on my unreliable ability to not sin and to do good works. That's amazing, great.
Render engine was good. I don't have to render in bad background anymore. I'm just teasing. Sending love.
If you also believe like she does, congratulations. Now God the Holy Spirit
Congratulations! You won!
lives in you, and he will help you to gradually become more Christ-like in your behavior. Always
We'll all get hung up.
put God first.
Oh, that was mean. I'm sending love, dead first century
Sorry,
guy.
Jesus.
It is sad. Anyone who gets tortured when you have, unfortunately, there's many people throughout the world, even now, that are stuck in slavery, just like they hate the word transatlantic slave trade. Because, James, the biblical slavery wasn't the transatlantic, but there's people that are living terrible lives. And if we were to ask, well, what was the reason? What was the terrible things that they went through? Was their sacrifice meaning anything? Unfortunately, bad things happen to good people.
Life was cheap. Life was cheap. It didn't really mean very much, in the past.
But we can do
you
things.
You can be killed for any manner of things. Things that we consider trivial today, like picking up sticks on the wrong day could get you a death sentence. Yeah.
Hi, you hooligan. All I'm going to say is yes, because I want more super. I'm just sending love. We probably promote it anyway, but I'm just going to say because we like promoting, but we also love everybody out there. All right, let's finish. We are talking. If you answer this question correctly, you are going to heaven. The answer very specifically, or the question, if anyone was asking or paying attention, was, do you believe in Jesus? And what this was trying to promote the entire time was it doesn't matter how good of a person you are. They call this works. It's their fancy word of saying you need to believe by faith only and not by works, because there are some people that are works only and not by faith. That is to say, if you're a good person, you're just going to get into heaven. And
You'll never be good enough, though. You'll never be good enough.
I find this is a Calvinist approach as well as many other approaches like this, you know.
First, treat others the way you want to be treated.
Denominations.
Read your Bible, pray to God daily, spread his word, and find a church which teaches the true gospel of Jesus' death, burial, and resurrection for our sins.
All right. Well, I'm going to pass on that, but we thank you for the wisdom from growing through the Bible. As we talked about, if you answer the question correctly, you're going to heaven. The question was, do you believe in Jesus? The answer is no. For me, I know James doesn't believe that he existed, and I have whole new shticks.
Not as presented.
Yeah, definitely not as presented. I mean,
so I'm not saying there was never a guy out there calling himself Jesus, but if you just took like a few random details or things that we know from his life and you made the rest up, well, that's not a historical person. That's taking a few things that you know and making up a story. That would still be mythicism to me.
And I would say most of the things that we think of as Jesus were not true. And so it does lean, at least in your direction, or a direction that would make him just a guy. So why are we even talking about him to begin with? The two things that I go over is the fact that he most likely did not think that he was God. Whether he thought he was Messiah, a prophet, whether he actually thought that he was going to take back Jerusalem, maybe, most likely did not think that he was God until John. John is the transitionary point, and then everyone seems to, after the last gospel,
John is where it becomes clear that that's what he's claiming. It's not so clear in the other ones.
And then you have Mary's virginity, which only makes sense to everyone but Jesus. I'm going to keep on making that joke. Can you imagine going around being like, yep, my mom's a virgin?
Everybody else's mom had sex to get pregnant and have their baby, but not my mom. She's never seen a male penis.
It's weird to gloat about either way, but it is weird to think, yeah, my mom's a virgin.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, they didn't want people to say that, oh, Jesus had he was just a man because he had an earthly father. So they had to introduce that. That way there's no chance that he could just be a man, because she never had sex with a man. So she couldn't be pregnant from another man. It had to be from God himself.
Do I have to have a birds and bees talk with the Bible? I may have to.
What's that? I back in history, I saw that somebody had claimed that it was during the Civil War. It was a Civil War soldier who claimed that he got shot, okay, and the bullet went through his testicles, passed clean through, and into the abdomen of another woman. She got pregnant from it.
You're lagging a little bit, but even half of that was a little bit I could tell that was bullshit.
The bull testicles picked up some of his sperm, hit the girl in the abdomen, and she got pregnant from it. They had sex, though. Go figure. People actually believed it. Oh, I mean, a few people, but it's.
Yeah, I don't think that works.
That's not how it happened, but sex. It was just a freak accident.
And also, I have to say, James, as we come to the end of the wisdom, I am probably going to have to go to bed soon. Do you want to?
If you want to open it up, I have a little more time, and we can see if anybody comes on. If not, then we'll just call it quits.
All right. With that, then, I'm going to send the stream here. What's up, Izzo? I am going to send this
thanks,
into
Yo Hooligan.
chat. Oh my goodness. Hold on one second. Thank you so much, you hooligan. I'm going to thank you properly again in a second. Come join us at clickety-clack.com. If anyone would like to join us for the open mic, you can right there. And I will let you in. James will let you in. If not, we are going to wrap up, as this was our filet mignon. It was only 5 minutes, but there was a lot of bite-sized yumminess. A $10 super chat from Yahooligan. I killed Earl. And me, Justin, have a new channel called Wavelength. Our first show will have R and Ra live.
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
R&Ra is really great at like building the community, going on smaller channels, and just
He is,
making himself available to do that.
which is amazing. And he's great at just not only doing his, he had a Bible study, he has a Quran study, and he's great in evolution, even as a layperson, all three of those subjects. But yes, go check out Yahooligan's channel, so called Wavelength, and thank you, Yahooligan, for all love and support. I do have to go.
We appreciate it. It keeps us going.
And yeah, exactly. Helps keep the lights on. What's up, Robin? And all right, I am probably going to get. I'm trying to think how we should do this. I'm going to introduce you both. And if you don't mind, just say like a minute intro, and then I'm going to have open discussion and just hand it over to you three. We have 2 people behind stage. Let's get them on. And then I am going to listen to all of you. We're going to open the mic. We've had so much wisdom. We're talking. If you answer this question correctly, you're going to heaven. Spoiler alert, it's just mostly listening to, oh, you're going to do that to me. Oh, you'll have a good conversation. I know. It's my own fault because we talk and we talk. We can't help it. It's the ranting part of this, the show. All right, because we had a challenger has joined, but that doesn't matter. I'm just going to get us all in as quickly as possible. Let's go into the open mic. What's up, Flum? You got 60 seconds on the clock. We are skeptic and ranting on if you answer the question correctly, you're going to heaven. How are you doing, and what are your thoughts?
Well, I'm an atheist, so I don't really want to go to heaven.
I agree.
That was shorter than 60 seconds.
That was. Thank you so much, Plum. And all right, hang on, because we're going to get into open conversation. Resetting the clock. Sinister, welcome. We are skeptic and ranting on if you answer this question correctly, you're going to heaven. How are you, and what are your thoughts?
Hi, I'm the Sinister Porpoise. When you think of Sinister Porpoises, think of the Sinister Porpoise. And what always amazes me is how many people want to worship a god exactly as petty as they are.
Indeed. It has so many human traits, like a weird amount of human traits.
I mean, if the Christian God does exist with the attributes they say he does, I hope he's not the way people portray him and they're just getting him wrong.
I agree. Or she. That's right, goddesses. And all right, we're going to
This is why sometimes I think we say he doesn't exist, and that's great. Thankfully, he doesn't. Like all those atrocities in the Old Testament, most of them never happened, thankfully.
Let's just say God could give us more guidance on God's preferred pronouns.
even though they seem to demand a he. I always joke because they don't like new and modern. I call it the modern theism. It's the omni god that, it's got to be a father. It's got to have a dingly bits. All right, let's add P-Town, and then I will either stay here for 30 seconds or 2 hours. I probably should go to. I have to. It's been fun, however, to all of you. I have had so much because I'm going to sneak out, so I'm saying it now. I love you all. And I'm going to be listening to an interesting conversation. P-Town, we have been Skeptic and Ranting.
Drum roll.
We are Skeptic and Ranting. That's right. And if you answer this question correctly, you are going to heaven. How are you? Welcome on board. And what are your thoughts?
I missed the question.
Sure. And I will say, I'll give you to speak for like a minute. And
Okay. So
go back into, but it is, it'll go into open conversation. But the topic is, if you answer this question correctly, you are going to heaven. That question ended up being believe in Jesus. It was very much an anti-works video.
indeed, that is the only way, is by believing in Jesus. Not a hard thing to do. It's something that you want, Flum. You don't want to not go to heaven. That's a lie. Whether that's coming from you or the adversary, it is untrue. I am a father. I am a guy who works too hard. And I'm a husband. And I am a son of the true God, that is Jesus Christ. And I defend what I believe because it is indeed what I believe. And because I do even care about you guys. All of you heathens. And I'm out of breath because I just carried a chair downstairs.
That's okay. Thank you, P-Town.
Thanks,
And then I'm going to hand off to any skeptic.
Isn't it quite provocative that you're telling me what my mind tells me? I just told you I don't want to go to heaven, and you're telling me that I do.
Yes,
I am. I'm telling you.
I'm telling you that that's a lie.
So you're telling me that I don't know what's in my own mind?
Well, I prefaced this. I said whether it is you,
you're lying.
or if
You're
it's
lying.
or
lying.
if it's
You're
what I said was, or if it's the adversary speaking.
There is no adversary.
From the Christian worldview, there is.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
P-Town, I need you to.
From the Christian worldview, there is.
I need to ask you to do something. I'm not trying to be picky, but please don't get too loud into the mic.
Yeah, if it's off, thanks for letting me know. Let me see if I can adjust that.
Maybe a little.
I'm on my AirPods, so give it a shot here.
Another cult follower, then.
So I can't really move the mic,
Just turn the volume down. Turn the mic volume down.
Okay, is that better?
Maybe a little bit higher, but yeah, somewhere between those two.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry, continue. I didn't realize anything to say. It was just.
Thanks, Big Bad Mama.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. No, I would. That's why I prefaced from the Christian worldview that this thought that you have, which from your perspective I agree with you, is your thoughts, and it's a lie. It's not true. You do indeed want to go to heaven. You don't want to go wherever the
You're
other place
telling me I'm lying.
Well, I want to address something because it's often a false dichotomy that gets used. There's no single Christian worldview, no atheist worldview. There are at least 4 different worldviews on this panel right now. 5 of Athena somewhere in the view of the camera.
Yes, and probably somewhere in between also.
That's a false dichotomy that keeps getting bring up, and it needs to stop being used.
Because I said it's from a Christian world. Well, I try to be as polite as I can.
Yes, but you're very impolite. You're telling me what's in my mind.
You told me that you don't want to go to heaven.
I don't want to go
That's what
to
you
heaven.
said.
No, I mean it sincerely.
Yeah.
I'm being sincere.
No, I sure, yeah.
Well,
and I'm
I
saying
do
that
not
is
want
a
to go to
deceptive
heaven.
lie. That you have been deceived. Yeah. That I don't know. Some sort of spiritual craziness is going on in your brain for you not to want to go to heaven.
P-Town, can we please not gaslight people?
Well, can we move on to a different topic, or are we just going to keep hammering this home?
We can.
Yeah, thanks.
Yes, what's the topic? I don't get it. We're talking about...
Well, you're saying you wouldn't want to go to the Christian heaven, and I definitely don't want to go
Yes,
to heaven.
that's what I'm saying. If heaven is sitting at God's feet and kissing them and singing songs for eternity, I do not want to do that.
I think that's a juvenile view of heaven, but
no, but that's at least one worldview.
But the truth is, we don't know whether heaven or hell exist because
P-Town, P-Town, what happens when we go to heaven? Do we sit at the feet of Jesus and worship him?
I believe that happens before.
Before we go to heaven.
Well, maybe it is in heaven. But yes, every knee will bow and every tongue will confess. And there'll be no more veiling. There'll be no more secrets,
so we agree.
Or
I'm
hidden
not
things.
exaggerating here.
Sure.
We agree that is what happens.
Oh, in this, from this context, I bet you don't want to go meet Jesus right now.
Well, I wouldn't want to do that. That sounds boring for any extended length of
time.
Boring meeting your creator, the creator of everything.
Yes, I don't want that. I don't want that.
But you're not just saying meeting, you're saying standing there and worshiping
forever.
Him, only worshiping
eternity.
Him. For some well, he didn't say forever, let's not strawman him. For some indeterminate amount of time. Now, maybe for a short time I can put up with that, but are you going to want to do the same thing forever and ever and ever?
I don't.
But he'll make it so you love it. You'll be happy the whole time, Sinister. Don't worry about it.
Well, I don't
think having the time of your life.
I don't think most Christians really have this view either. So,
have what worldview?
That gets me into one of my points.
I don't think
some Christians don't understand, and it's that it's Mary who was born of a virgin. It's not Jesus. And the reason is that Jesus is supposed to be born untainted of original sin.
Now, that's more of a Catholic belief, and I'm not sure they all believe that. I think it depends on the...
Not all, only some 1.2 billion Christians believe that. So that's only some Christians.
I can tell you the Mormons don't believe that, nor do all the Protestants.
Mormons aren't Christians. So
yes, they are.
No, they're not.
They self-identify as Christians.
They're not real Christians.
No, it's not even in the real Christian scope. They don't
respect their right to self-identify.
Well, in that respect, I can agree. I can agree that they believe that Jesus was a savior and all that. And yeah, sure. So they can be Christians that way, that they believe in Jesus Christ. But that's not really what Christians believe.
That's just okay. What you're doing, sorry, but that's a no true Scotsman.
Yes, I know.
But the point is, not all Christians believe that Mary was the Immaculate Conception.
No, but more Christians believe that than Jesus was the Immaculate Conception.
Yes, but you said all.
No, I said most. Most means more than less. I didn't say all.
Now, so let's go back to
There are 1.2 billion Catholics, right?
Christians. I don't think they're all Catholic. I don't know. Let me look that up. I think there's 1.2 billion Christians, but they're not all Catholics. Catholics are the largest group of Christians.
Denomination.
Well, there's more than one denomination. There's more than one denomination of Catholics.
There are 40,000 denominations of Christians. If we.
Oh. Okay, we're both wrong. But Flume was
the Catholic denomination is the largest denomination.
Flume was closer to being correct, but his numbers were out of date. It's 1.378 billion Catholics in the world.
So it's 1.4 almost, not 1.2. But that doesn't even matter to my point at all. My point is that the kind of Christianity that P-Town and other people believe in isn't really the largest group. Okay. The largest group say something else. So let's listen to both groups. Sure, we can listen to both groups. They can both exist. They can be fine. But we should, if we want to know what Christians believe about things, we should go to the biggest group first, and then to the other groups.
No.
No?
I think you should go to the Bible. And I agree, the denominations and all the different viewpoints, it's a total disaster out there, especially across history. But the message is indeed simple. You got to believe in Jesus, to be gifted with the Holy Spirit, meditate on the Word, and you grow with a deeper understanding of what it means in a way that's specific to you. And God just had it that way. I mean, it's completely opposite to the way that the world or the way that a man would have it be done. But I've thought about this. I mean,
or you could live simply.
It's completely unreasonable that God decided to have it that way.
Or you could live simply, follow the Tao, and accept that to live until you die is to live long enough. I mean, religion is more a way to guide your life. But I want to come back to an earlier point. What do you personally believe heaven is like? Do you have that rather juvenile view where you're praising God all the time? Because I don't think most Christians actually believe that.
Like I said, I haven't really studied heaven and hell, but I mean, you have.
I'm sorry, what was that, James?
Khaleesi asked, where's Amy? Is she fashionably late? No, she was on before. She had to step out, unfortunately.
All right, could you repeat that, P-Town, please?
There are a few. I was just prefacing by saying I'm not an expert on that when it comes to heaven and hell. But I mean, when you read the scriptures, there's some things that.
Okay, let me stop you again because I need to. I don't want to know what their view is. I want to know what your personal belief is.
Yeah, what I'm saying is I haven't using the Bible. I haven't done an in-depth study on heaven. I think that there's certain descriptions of it that are kind of physical. All the lamb's going to be all the light, right? It's always going to be lit. There's not going to be darkness anymore. There's gems and it's shiny, and there's different levels. There's there's going to be some people who have higher. Go ahead.
Can I interrupt you just for a second?
I'm used to it. It's fine.
No. I'm just going to ask you, what do you think is going to happen when we go to heaven?
Yeah, we're not interested in your. We want to know your personal view, not what you think the Bible says.
Well, that's what my that's what I base my views on. I mean, that's definitely higher than me. But so what I was gonna, so there's I don't know, there's hierarchies in heaven. Like there's some people who are crowned, there's some people who have the penthouse, I guess. I don't know. I don't no idea.
Pete's
I'm
out.
answering your question.
You didn't hear the question. What do you think will happen when we go to heaven?
But I think there was an honest answer there that will get missed because he keeps trying to couch it in.
I'm trying to tell you what I do know, but I
Hold
don't
on.
know.
Let me finish. You said, I don't know. That's a perfectly acceptable answer. It's okay to say we don't know the things we don't know.
Yes, well, I was trying to tell you the stuff that I do know from scripture. And then there's I don't know specifically what you're looking for. Yeah, from the atheist in me from back in the day, it sounds kind of boring. Like you're just gonna be around worshiping the lamb. I don't think it's gonna be anything like that at all. But it's not a whole lot that we know.
See, I don't know is an acceptable answer, and that's what I think.
Because I don't know.
If you don't know, you don't know. It's okay to admit that.
There's time. So in this world, you're even as a Christian, you're not always connected to God. And but when you are, at least for me, when I get glimmers of this, it's amazing. It's astounding. When I see the truth, the clarity that he is who he is, I have a more sure foundation in life. I have meaning. These things are great, but when it comes to heaven, I can't fathom how awesome that is.
Hey, we've been under a tornado watch all evening. Okay, so thank you for being honest that you just don't know what's going to happen. Try to cut down on the preaching afterwards, please.
Oh my goodness.
Now, this video was, I don't know this video. First of all, I think this video was just a terrible computer-generated thing, not even really AI, just probably some AI was used. But they didn't separate the voices.
Low end AI.
Yeah, low effort. But the main issue with it is why was it necessary to do the whole original sin thing in the first place? I think that's just trying to explain why the world was messed up, kind of like the Pandora's box. You know, we didn't have good answers for that, so we'll say, okay.
Put people to. He needed a reason to have people in hell so he could save them and demand be thanked for it for eternity.
Well,
no, that's not actually.
You cut out.
It's kind of backwards. It's from you look back and things are good, and then you look forwards and things are bad, and you're like, why are they bad? We built the city. We have sheep. We have cows. We have beer. We have everything we want. Now everything is bad. But they didn't have such a wide scope. They could only see like 100 years back in time, maybe. If we're talking like, I don't know, 5,000 years ago, they could only see like 100 or 200 years back in time. They couldn't see. Am I not coming through clear?
You're coming through clear, but I have no idea what you're getting at.
Well, the scope of humanity wasn't that great.
And elaborate on the point, please.
So they made up stories to build on the
So we're making the same.
mound.
So we're
Yeah,
making,
it's difficult to explain.
I think
not-
we're
It's not simple.
I think we're making the same point. We made up myths to explain things we didn't have good answers for at the time.
Yeah, yes, that's a simple way of saying it, but that's not exactly.
Well, I'm sure like a folklorist or a who studies
Yeah,
myths?
yeah, somebody else with a better brain than me could.
Someone who studies it specifically would probably put it more succinctly or more
Yes.
academically.
Yes, I agree. I'm sorry, that's not my specialty. I only write stories. I don't know where they
James,
come from.
I think C science is back there.
Yes, let's see science then.
Sure,
All right.
we like more people. Yes, get some color at the story.
And while we're waiting, I want to address something in the chat. TP Seeker, I don't know. I think you're assuming a lot of us really care what the distinction between real Christian and unreal Christian, because that's more like Christians trying to separate themselves from other Christians.
Yeah. That's an internal debate.
Yes, that's also not why I brought up the Mary debate. That was more internally inconsistent.
Welcome, C Science.
Hey, Porpoise, how you doing, man? P-Town, Flume, James W., good to see you. What are you all talking about here?
Oh, you missed the video?
We're talking about heaven, and would you like to go?
To heaven?
Yeah.
And
not today. I'll wait for a while if I can. You know, as long as I can.
And do you?
Hey, C science.
And do you personally hold the view that heaven is going to be eternally worshiping God and doing nothing else?
Well, it depends. I guess everyone has a different interpretation or different understanding, if you will, of the Bible's depiction of heaven or how the authors described heaven, you know, because everyone has a different understanding of the Bible. I mean, it's a big book, so most people haven't read the whole thing, and people have studied more in different areas of it. But in my opinion, you know,
but if we go
for
to
me,
Revelation, if we go
isn't
to
found in
Revelation,
death. Like, I think a lot of Christians are looking for heaven in death, and they think they're looking for like this everlasting life in death. Ooh, nice cat, Porpoise with a purpose. What do you say about that, James? Do you think that Christians are sort of seeking an eternal life in death itself, like we die and go to heaven forever and ever?
I think it's primarily motivated by fear of death. Yeah, we all have that innately as humans. We like existing, we like living, because we evolutionarily have to, otherwise we wouldn't try to stay alive. So we have that innate fear, and it allows people to pretend that they can get around it or escape it somehow. Perfectly understandable. It's not rational, but it is understandable.
And I do see that model, like with the Roman Catholic model. You know, you die, you know, the Satan's in hell and God's in heaven, and one's place is up, the other one's down, you know, that whole thing. But I think like what's biblical more is heaven isn't found in death necessarily, but more in this life, in this reality, and that the only way you're going to live is if God returns and restores us all from the grave. That's the only way you're going to find heaven, because God doesn't promise eternal death, but instead eternal life through Jesus Christ, which he means in this life, because as Jesus said, our God is not the God of the dead, but the God of the living, and all live to him. So,
but isn't that the old Jewish way of looking at it?
that's the old Jewish way of looking. Okay, all right, that's one
Like
opinion.
Sheol, where you are waiting. When you die, you just wait, and then God will bring everything back to life. I think that's the old Jewish way of looking at it. But I'm not an Old Testament scholar, so what do I know?
So you've talked to a lot of those of the Jewish faith about what they think the afterlife would be. All right. So
yes,
we are working from a Bible.
Sheol,
You know,
it's
Jesus.
Sheol, it's waiting. It's waiting for God to bring the perfect about.
So they're waiting. Okay. So
after they die, they wait.
It's
so
more
like the
open to
Catholic
interpretation.
idea of limbo, you mean? Like that?
No.
Like you're waiting, trying to go to a new.
No.
Oh, okay. I'll yeah.
No, it's not limbo. Limbo is waiting to be permitted into something. When you're in Sheol, you're already permitted into eternity.
That's interesting. What do you think, James?
Yes, it is.
And where's
If
Newman
you
at? Is
read
Newman
some
about? Is
theology,
like Newman about?
You would.
Newman has to work in the
understand
morning, so she went to bed.
Oh, she passed out. Damn, I got here late. Well,
Yeah, you
what
missed
can I
the
say?
show.
I apologize for being late, guys.
Oh, the pleasure is all on this
Science,
side of the table.
Well,
See, Science, I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna do a show here after this. I want to hang out.
We'll probably be on like another. We'll maybe go till 10:30. We've been going 2 hours already.
That's when my.
Okay, well.
Limbo versus Sheol.
Well, anyone's welcome. By the way, I didn't mean to single anyone out.
Well, the thing is, much like Amy, I do have to be up tomorrow. I'm just staying up because, although we're probably safe now, I just have to keep an eye on the weather tonight.
But the Catholics, they also got rid of limbo. I think under, was it John Paul II or was it a little later?
I am not familiar with the doctrine.
No,
what do you mean? What'd they get rid of? What are you saying?
Limbo.
You
know
as far
where
as I know,
baby
they haven't-
fetus go.
Right. So aborted babies, the Catholic tradition teaches they would go to limbo, which is a part of hell with no fire, because they have no sin to be punished for, but they weren't baptized, so they can't go to heaven.
Yes.
So that's
and I
traditional
think it
Catholic
was,
theology
John Paul II who got rid of that, but I don't remember or if it was the next pope.
I mean, they
because
could try
my
to
brain is old
modify.
and fried.
I mean, they've changed so much in the past like 50 years, the things they've taught for thousands of years, because they've become unacceptable anymore. But I mean, they're very playful with the wording of how they phrase things and what words mean what and how they're saying it to try to dance around things that are inconvenient. But yeah, if you ask most Protestants, where do babies who are killed go to? Do they go to heaven or hell? They'll say they go to heaven because it's unimaginable for them. God committing a baby to hell.
100%. You're without sin.
Yeah. But then that renders the concept of original sin meaningless, because there's no original sin then, or it's there, but God doesn't punish you for it, so it's not really sin. It doesn't have to make sense. They just don't want God to be a
But
bitch.
I think Sinister has the data for us.
No, I'm not Catholic, and The thing with the Catholics is as long as a previous pope hasn't spoken ex cathedra, the Pope is free to give any guidance he wants.
Yes, so it's just guidance and not
If
a papal bull. It's not a papal
if he's
law.
giving an opinion,
It is just an opinion. Okay.
If he is
but if
speaking
the church clearly defines a teaching on it, then they are supposed to not be able to modify it, even though sometimes they do.
Yeah, if a previous pope has spoken on something ex cathedra, the popes really can't change that. That's why women still don't hold the priesthood.
Right.
Well, regarding the potpourri, I think I put it the other night like this. Popes aren't really biblical, and neither is the majority of the rest of the dogma coming from the Roman Catholic Church that surrounds the Bible. So.
And nothing, nothing in the whole 40,000 other denominations
Hey,
are in the Bible as well.
I support biblical marriage. I believe my nieces are worth at least... No, I can't say that.
30 shekels.
I was going to say 3 goats and a camel, but...
That's also about the same. Unless you have good goats.
Yeah, I mean... It's also... Only Christians are going to get bogged down into whether or not something's biblical. Maybe... occasionally...
Well, Jesus is biblical,
the Bible
right?
is so... It's so big and so vaguely written at times that you can come out with almost anything you want from it and find biblical support for it.
Jesus isn't even in 1/4 of the Bible.
But to someone on the outside arguing over something, whether or not something's biblical, is like James W. and I arguing over whether something in Dune is canon or not.
Yes,
Star Trek canon, Star Wars
is
canon.
Superman supposed to fly, or does he jump very large buildings? I remember the first Superman, and it specifically said he jumped very large buildings. He didn't fly over them.
Well, DC controls that canon and it can change. The problem is biblical canon is not supposed to change, but it has over the centuries. Not to mention which we have the original source of it, and we have sequels that the original group doesn't agree to.
Like if you look at like what people consider mainstream Christianity, Protestantism today, most of the doctrines they believe were very, very fringe, maybe 500-600 years ago. Nobody believed what they believe today. And they think it's just normal. Oh, I read the Bible and that's what it says. Yeah, people did that and they never got their interpretation of it out. And even the initial reformers did not believe the things that they believed. So it's new.
Well, it depends on what you're talking about. I mean, men.
That's why I started with the Mary thing. Mary was supposed to be born by a virgin, not Jesus.
Well, that's why the Catholics, they come up with the Immaculate Conception of Mary, that she was conceived without original sin, so that Jesus couldn't be in a womb that was tainted with original sin. So, so God had to do that miracle for Mary and for Jesus, even though I don't think they said Mary was a
but that's the whole Bible is filled with people.
Older, but that's much older than any of all the new things.
Hello, Bree.
No, but that's much older than the new things that people believe. So why are we still arguing about Mary?
Because it's
fun. I don't care about the brother of Jesus. I don't care about all those other small
like
details.
to talk about it, so.
If we can't start agreeing on one thing.
What's going on?
Just read the Bible. It's all about.
The hype is good. Didn't mean to. I wasn't wanting to come in and step on the conversation. But yeah, thanks for asking. Yeah,
It's coming
was
around
just
the backside.
yeah, just finishing up some editing, and I saw you guys were still going, so I thought, heck, I'll pop in here and hang out with Porpoise and James. And apparently, Amy disappeared, and who we got? Our Sea Science Film Lab in P Town
Yeah,
for
she's
our
got to get up early.
for our theist on the menu tonight. How you doing? I don't know Flum, but it's good to meet you. Good to see everybody.
Yeah, it's nice of you to be here.
Can't imagine my teachers might have to get up early.
Yeah, go figure, right?
P-Town, you were saying about the Bible?
I was just saying, look, read the Bible. And it's just consecutively, it's just people screwing up what God told them to do.
Oh,
I
think.
you get into after Christ is still, very similar.
And I agree. You should read the Bible more.
There's a cycle to it, right? The people of Israel make God mad. He punishes them, and then they get forgiveness.
Go to Egypt, and then they go to Israel. Then they make him mad again. Then they go to Babylon. Then they make them mad again.
Well, I mean, imagine. So God gets them out of Egypt. He parts the Red Sea to aid their escape, and then a few days later, Moses goes up on the mountain, and then Moses, he's been up there for quite a while. We have nothing else to do. Let's take all this gold we stole from the Egyptians and build a golden calf and worship that. What could go wrong, right? I mean, yeah. Well,
Moses comes down and is like, "You did what?"
Do, right?
Well, they weren't.
Yeah, that gold God told us to steal. Yeah, we made an idol out of that. We've been worshiping it. Is that bad?
God hasn't given that commandment not to do that yet.
Well, it would be part of the inherent laws that don't have to be explicitly given out, because if you remember, God destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah before he ever told men not to lay with each other, so they were expected to just know that on their own.
Listen,
it's obviously evil. It's obviously an act of evil.
You also have to remember, as an ex-Mormon, I had additional stories, like the 10,000 stripling warriors, ancient American Jews coming to America in boats they built, ancient Mesopotamians building Bronze Age submarines with no propulsion to come to America and somehow still making it here, and with hatches on both the top and bottom, where it was never made clear how they told which one was under top or which one was above the surface. Stuff like that.
That must have been some interesting Sunday school.
So, I mean, there's some denominations that don't believe in a virgin birth, right? Like, I think the Church of Jesus Christ, the Latter-day Saints or whatever, they don't believe in the virgin birth, right?
Any that don't believe in that?
Which period are we talking about?
In modern times, at least, I know that's at least one that does, and I don't know if there's more.
Because we also have some weird things with Brigham Young when it comes to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Oh, yeah. He's a weird guy. Mm-hmm.
Where essentially it's more good old-fashioned biblical incest.
Mm. As opposed to the new-fashioned biblical incest, but I guess that's the Duggars, right?
Well,
there's always also a weird thing that Lot is the grandson of Noah, right?
You have to think about the implications of it too, because in Mormonism,
so there are only 8 people in the world.
I want to go back to
and then suddenly there are cities all over in 2 generations.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the Mormon conception of Christ, though, because if Mormon belief is correct, everyone is a literal spirit child of God. So, according to Brigham Young, and the church does not teach this anymore, Brigham Young came down and impregnated Mary.
So he's
Yeah.
You said Brigham Young.
He's the father of
Father of
Jesus, then,
Jesus.
right?
Yes, God is the Father. The
Where
literal.
we get the implications.
Yeah.
Well, that's just silly. But doesn't
Oh, it's
surprise
awesome.
me what men
But
can do.
the other story is much. It's on the same level.
Boom, could you turn your volume up a little bit, because I think we're all talking over you because we can't hear when you're.
Well, I'm gonna go.
Is this
figure out-
louder?
That's
You
better.
want to go start your show, P-Town?
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm not the most tech
We'll go a
savvy.
few
I'm gonna
more
go figure it out and then launch it. I put it in the private chat if you guys.
It's
Sure.
just
It's
that
gonna be
sometimes-
my first time. It's gonna be my first time actually talking about something I love so much, and I'm not gonna have an atheist interrupt me every 2 seconds. And if you guys want to come in afterwards and talk about the content, if you guys have the huevos, all of you in the chat, come on. But at least it's gonna be nice, man. Finally.
Come on, P-Town. It's not.
I do.
What's
P-Town, sorry.
I don't.
May I give you some technical advice?
Sure. Yeah.
Maybe I'm getting the wrong picture here, but it sounds like you're streaming from a phone or similar device. Get a desktop with a wired connection, if you don't already have one.
Oh, I'll be on my laptop here for this one.
Yeah, and with a wired connection. That's the important bit.
Yeah, man, I'll tune into your show there, P-Town.
Yeah, good to have. It would be good to have you. I always enjoy hanging out with you.
All
There
right.
you go.
All right,
Well,
everyone.
just one viewer. Have a good night, P-Town.
Ciao.
Bye,
And-
P-Town.
I've got to finish that redeemed Zoomer video about fractals.
Fractals.
But we kind of missed the point. The point was, would you want to go to them?
Would I want to go to the Christian heaven the way P-Tom was initially describing it? No.
And I'm also a no.
Well, that's the thing. The secret they had, because hell wasn't in the original lexicon that came as a later invention. It seems like because heaven, the way they made it sound, was so horrible that most of them wouldn't want to go if they had the option. So they had to make hell the only thing that could possibly be worse, eternal conscious torment, so that people would want to go and be made into a mindless robot, praising God because that's all they're programmed to do, but loving every minute of it. Who would sign up for that if there was another viable option of doing literally anything? Nobody.
But another problem I heard was that if you went to heaven, but you knew your loved one was in hell, would you want to be in heaven?
I mean, there's different interpretations of that.
Yeah, it's fine. No, that's a whole anthill.
They said, I've heard, the interpretation I've heard is that you would be happy because you would know that justice was being done and that God had done everything perfect in accordance with his righteous judgment. And if he decided that someone you loved has to go to hell, then you would get up and say, amen. That's the will of God. That's nothing we can do about it. Justice
I heard something worse, James. And that was that you would be like your mind and your body would be cleansed, so you wouldn't be you. And I'm like
a lobotomy.
Yes.
Yeah, lobotomized.
So it's not me in heaven. It's just something that looks like me.
Well, because they all say you won't be able to sin in heaven, so.
So it won't be me in heaven.
You lose
I'll
your free
be
will.
able to sin anywhere. Anyway,
So get all that sinning out now, people.
But if there were no way to,
Trust me, 100%, I'll be able to sin anywhere.
I am normally bad at this.
Even in heaven.
But Flume, I'm having a really hard time telling when you're finished speaking tonight.
No,
and
because
I'm gonna apologize.
You wouldn't.
You can always.
Go ahead, Porpoise.
Oh, I was just apologizing because
Oh.
I think it's just the way it's just his cadence. I keep assuming he's done and he's not.
Yeah. Well, sorry, you're not coming off as rude. If that, I mean, we can tell that you're not meaning to talk over Flum.
Right.
So I think Flum can tell that too.
Absolutely.
But I don't know about
Kevin.
the worshiping continuously for all eternity. Sounds just miserable to me. I'd rather. Can I get annihilationism, please? Can I get a little bit of annihilationism up in Hive? That's because this idea of this is not gonna float for me. I don't want to burn forever, but you know, that's
like
my
we don't have
thesis.
like we're thrust into this game, right? And we don't have the option of not playing. It's either you make the right choice or you don't. We're put here against our will by the decisions other people made, and God says you make this choice or you don't, and you can't opt out of it. You have to make one of them, and yeah.
And annihilationism's off the table for everybody because I don't think that. How old is the implications of hell? What, it's Middle Ages. Before that, there really wasn't much of a concept.
Yes,
what we think
it's
of now.
around 12, 13.
The modern
like our modern versions of it. Yeah, go ahead.
Dante, right?
Yeah, the modern Christian version is Dante's Inferno.
Mm-hmm.
But it does have its roots in the New Testament, but it is fairly vague. It not real specific.
So with the King James version of the Bible, is that when they inserted the term into the Bible, or?
Yes, that's 1636, I think, the first one.
Or just what they reworded what was used as Sheol, the underworld.
Yes.
In the New
Testament. Did they use Hades for it?
Yes.
You know, I think the Catholic Church had used Hades up until that point too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes,
please let me a scholar correct me.
Hades is like Sheol. It's just a dark bleak place.
Yeah.
Where you wait. Nothing happens.
We're told we have to believe this thing.
When you are there. It's just dark and bleak. Nothing happens.
Well, I wanted to come to... First off, one thing we could not get P-Town to do was get us to tell what he thought was going to happen. He's trying to say, I want to quote the Bible. It's like, we don't care what the Bible says. We want to know what you think. Which was interesting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, an appeal to the Bible is usually something that's considered favorable in a religious community, though. So I can understand why they might think that that'd be a good. Instead of telling you what I think, I'm just this silly human. I'm going to tell you what God thinks in my book, and then you're supposed to be like, "Oh,
fair interpretation
wow,
of it."
That's a whole nother story." But no, I want to actually get to know what you think, P-Town, right? I want to know what's inside your mind when you think about these passages or these verses.
Because the other Christians are going to pull out the same Bible and find other verses say the exact opposite.
Mm-hmm.
No, this is what the Bible really says. No, you're wrong. This is what the Bible says.
I mean, you can interpret the Bible with everything from accepting gay marriage to rejecting interracial marriage, depending on how you want to take individual verses and things that a lot of times things that seems like Paul said more than Jesus. That's just how I understand it from the way it's been explained to me. But
well,
Paul was a good guy.
Paul came after the death of Jesus, so when Jesus was here, they were under the old covenant. Now that Jesus died, they're under the new covenant. So Paul had to make those minor changes because it was something different.
Assuming that Jesus existed at all.
Yeah, which I don't think he did, but I'm just saying.
Oh, I didn't know you were a mythicist, James. Interesting.
I am, yeah.
I am too. I'm also a mythicist.
Is the whole top panel mythicist?
No, I don't think the biblical character of Jesus probably existed, but
That's okay. So I'm more
Well-
on the sinister purpose side.
I would
Yeah.
say that, like, I consider, like, if there was just a guy at the base of it, and they took maybe a few smatter details from his life and they made up the rest as a story, I would consider that mythicism. I wouldn't consider that to be a historical Jesus, even though it might have been loosely based on a guy or multiple guys.
Well,
Local legends
Yeah,
cobbled together.
I'm in the James camp there. It's multiple guys.
even
It's 4,
even-
5, 10, 12 guys.
Hmm.
Some in Judea, some in around Nazareth, some down in Egypt, some
There were traveling, roaming preachers at the time. It was not uncommon to
all
have.
over the place.
And
And
I'm
here's
not
the
judging you guys.
so-
I've had all these positions at one point in time, but you know, as research, I kind of overturned them for myself. I can't overturn them for you because I'm not qualified to. I do like to hear the things that you all are.
Are you a historicist? You believe he existed?
No, but
Yes.
here's the thing.
I
the
do.
thing that I know is that a lot of them got crucified.
well, I also want to say I don't
Not
think,
just one. Many of them got crucified,
okay.
and they
It
didn't
was
happen.
mythicized.
I also
They
want
didn't happen to be born in Nazareth or in Judea or anywhere else. They just went around, they preached stuff, and the Romans didn't like them, and they were hung up on a cross. That
Yeah.
happened
I also want
to
to
a lot of people. No, not
Okay.
like hundreds of them, but like 10 or 12 or something around that century.
All right. I also want to say I don't think it matters whether or not there was the biblical character of
Yeah.
Jesus was historical or not. I
sure.
think what matters is how people interpret the stories. I kind of take the Joseph Campbell view of it.
And I'm with you right there, Porpoise, on that. I don't think there's much significance to it or not. Yeah.
Well, there's significance to the stories. It's the
Well,
stories that are important.
to what they're to the root of it. I mean, I don't think that there is. It's going to change the way that anybody interprets the story personally, if we find evidence one way or the other, because someone will always refute it. There's always going to be controversy around it, and that it's not there's more to discuss here than just these. Is Jesus a real person or not? I guess is what I'm saying.
You know, it's like we know Davy Crockett existed, but
You know,
some of the things he did in
But we
history
know that Robin Hood didn't. And how do we know?
well, how do we know Davy Crockett isn't going? I mean, there's a real Davy Crockett, and then there's the American folktales and the Disney movies about Davy Crockett.
About Davy Crockett that aren't real. But the stories about Robin Hood were collected over more than 100 years. So it's not about the same person. We know that the court stories goes back way before the first poems came. And when the poems came, the stories came. And then the story of Robin Hood was built. It's like with King Arthur. They say, well, maybe it was this 6th century king who was King Arthur, but he didn't collect the English or the British or whatever you want to call it. And then they built, and built. And then in the 11th century, there were these great stories about King Arthur.
The two American folktale figures that were most likely fake, Danny, are Paul Bunyan and Pecos Bill.
Yes.
Who was the second one?
Pecos Bill.
Oh, Pecos.
John Henry with his big hammer
Was probably real, as was Daniel Boone. We know he was real because there are trails named after him.
Tom Sawyer is actually was a real person that Mark Twain went to school with. I guess Tom Sawyer was more so him, and Huck Finn was one of his real friends that he went to school with.
Well, that's not.
Yeah.
That's an American literature. That's not an American folk. Well, I guess folktales are American.
Well,
literature.
there's folklore around it. If you come to
overlap.
Hannibal, you'll see. Yeah.
No, the story about Huck Finn was that he used to be a paper boy, right?
But I mean, it's the important part about those stories. Even Robin Hood would inspire certain things, and I think one of the major things Robin Hood inspired was an interest in archery, which was important for the military strategies of the day.
No, it was to be against the aristocracy.
Well, can walk and chew gum at the same time.
It can be both.
No, but it's a story against the aristocrats.
But it would inspire an interest in. It would inspire an interest in archery.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, it was anti-monarchy for what it's worth. Yeah, but more they didn't like the feudal system or anti-feudal system.
Yes,
and that's funny because all the retellings in like modern times they kind of
makes it feudal.
Yeah, he's like, oh, the return of the king after we dispose the evil sheriff. Yeah, it's like whatever. That's not how the character's made.
but that's why Robert L. Stevenson. Robert L. Stevenson. He wrote Ivanhoe.
Ivanhoe.
Yeah, yes, you know the story of Ivanhoe, right?
Yeah,
I'm sure I've seen
it. Wasn't
and that
Robin Hood wasn't against the monarchy; it was the usurpation of the monarchy.
That includes Robin Hood. Robin, but that was written in the
17th century, I believe, but
1630 something.
Well, Flume, if you can collect your thoughts.
I can't. I never.
Johnny Appleseed was a real
I don't like my thoughts.
Yeah,
Geronimo was a real guy too.
Johnny Appleseed is sorry.
Oh,
everyone.
Johnny Appleseed is interesting in American folklore because there's not really any conflict to his story. He just planted a lot of apples.
Yeah.
Apple trees.
Well, then you would see apple trees.
No, I mean, like, for some stories, there's, like, some major conflict in their plots. Like, John Henry is a story against automation, essentially.
Yeah. It's a Luddite folktale. It's kind of against the Industrial Revolution. And then Paul Bunyan. Paul Bunyan has a whole myriad of stories. His core narrative is, even his
it was
core
also
is,
like Huron is his big blue cow.
Babe
the big blue ox. Yeah.
Yes. And stepped down, but that's Lake Huron, right?
No,
they made the Grand Canyon because they were roughhousing too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they dredged the Mississippi.
That's better than Kenobi.
Yeah, they created the Mississippi so Paul Bunyan could
I
drain
like
his
that
bathtub.
one better than Kenobi.
To drain his bathtub, yeah, I remember that one too.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the folktales contain exaggerations, like the Chuck Norris stories were the formation of an American folktale right there.
That's good right there, yeah.
We're just trying to get the theists to admit that a lot of their beliefs are folklore too.
That they are made the same way.
Yeah, I mean, if we can look back and see how we've folklorized people that existed just a couple hundred years ago, surely, I mean, even prominent people like George Washington cutting down the cherry tree and all that stuff, that didn't happen, But if we can create folklore about people that were historically very prominent, and we know in their life is well documented. We can just make up folk tales about them to help sell books.
But I can. They always say this thing: if you reject the claims of Jesus, you can reject anything in history.
Well, you can reject anything in history regardless.
Anyways, yeah. but sure. But
I mean, they say that, but honestly, there are people who are much better. Even if you believe Jesus existed as a person, there still isn't a whole lot to base that on.
I know that. But if you have Caesar crossing the Rubicon on this specific date, I think it was the 28th of March in 58 BC. But
48, I think.
Yes. Sorry. 48, yeah.
I would have to look that up.
But the interesting thing is that he wasn't actually at the Rubicon. He was in a villa like 60 miles away.
Well,
so he couldn't.
Did Washington cross the Delaware? Now I wonder.
Yeah,
now
yes,
I have my doubts.
That's what we are talking about. That is exactly what we're talking about. That's what I'm saying.
First off, Caesar wrote that story.
We know his troops crossed the Rubicon that day, but we don't know that Caesar was there. But if we read not only Caesar's own books, but also other people writing about Caesar, we know he was vying for a senator at a villa 60 miles away.
That's right.
But
so he couldn't have been there and said, "Did I cast the die?" He couldn't have been there. So he never said that.
Alia jacta est is the Latin.
Yeah.
However,
it couldn't have happened.
What I want to point out is that crossing the Rubicon, regardless of whether or not Caesar did it, he was not allowed to have a private army cross the Rubicon.
Anyways.
Which is why he was making a decision he couldn't go back on.
Yes. And the senator he was talking to was also on the other part of the Rubicon. So he already crossed. So he already cast the die before his troops crossed. But
Caesar,
he didn't say it.
But Caesar was also a rampant self-promoter.
Yes. So we can't believe what he wrote in his bio.
And I read something a while ago. It's like Caesar's one of those people we consider great, but we're not really sure why.
Good night, Danny.
Sweet cat, James. I like your cat.
Yes, the cat.
We'll go until 11, so about 5 more minutes or so. Anybody have any other points they want to make? Let's do that.
There's one thing I wanted to bring up. Even if we did live forever, if we never forgot anything, would we want to?
No.
So, I like the Lord of the Rings kind of thing the elves have going on. They can live as long as they feel cool with it. And if they get tired of it, they can go lay down and take their rest. Yep, and they're done. Maybe like a vampire where you can, get tired of living for a while. You can sleep for a few centuries and see how things are when you wake up. That'd be fine, but living forever, praising a supreme being or whatever, no, I wouldn't be interested in that at all.
I don't think what will ever live forever, but I do think at some point they'll be able to slow aging down so much that they could drastically improve lifespans. But I mean, just imagine living like billions of years. You've read everything there is to read. You've seen everything there is to see. There's no more questions to answer. That you've done everything, infinite number of times. It would just be just a very empty, vapid existence. Yeah, there's nothing else to do that you haven't already done and gotten tired of.
There's actually a Voyager episode where one of the Q wants to commit suicide because of that.
Yeah. After a while, I think anybody who had the power to would just
like when you talk
poof
about
themselves out of
space
existence.
travel.
Whom's trying to speak?
I'm sorry, James.
Now I'm done. I was just saying you would poof yourself out of existence if you could eventually, just to escape the boredom, the monotony, the emptiness of life.
At some point, you're going to face the heat death of the universe if you don't, which is not going to be pleasant.
But there's also the other problem. If we go on deep space travel, like really deep space travel, millions of light years, and when you wake up and everything you ever knew doesn't exist anymore, even the planet, even the sun is gone. How is it waking up? What would that be like? Imagine that loss.
Living beyond the sun, that'd be...
Yes.
Yeah.
After the merger of Milky Way and Andromeda.
Yes. It's all gone, nothing. And you're on the other side of the Milky Way, so maybe you're 100,000 light years away from your home planet that doesn't exist anymore.
At that point, it'd make a big difference if there was other people. How happy I would be if I was alone forever.
Yes, you would be together with other people. You would be trying to make a new world.
Then I don't think that would be much different than moving to a new
town or what.
Well, not
I was visioning myself floating through space, right? Like immortal floating through space, no Earth, no sun, just
set adrift. If you could land somewhere or just set up a permanent base, it wouldn't be that much different than like moving to a new state or new country. I mean, yes, it would be weird for a little bit, but as long as you have the support system, you'd adjust. Assuming you can survive.
Yeah.
And you would have so many survival skills by that point, because you'd live for the rest of of Earth's time. So you'd learn. I mean, you would learn so much stuff in that time. You could learn so many, like, this is, for example, languages. I know language isn't going to help you out when you're drifting in space, but when you run into an alien species or something and you need to figure out how to communicate with them, knowing how different syntax and stuff work might be beneficial. So just this example of different skills you could possess. Yeah.
You'll finally find the one that speaks Voynich from the Voynich manuscript.
Infinite universe. Gotta be one somewhere. You might have to go wade through some Vogan poetry, though.
You're never one, Vogan.
The entire universe exists within a Costco. What? All a big Costco around us.
The entire universe powers the car of someone outside the universe. At least they were trying to make it clear that Rick Sanchez was not a good person by that point. Because people were still confused somehow.
Yeah.
No, but to me, the big question isn't really why or how we are here. It's what we do here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we're gonna wrap it up. I'm not gonna do a formal exit session like Amy. You're just getting the cheap version. She already went to bed. But we love all you guys. Thanks for spending the night with us. Thanks for
See ya,
watching.
James.
And we'll be back next time. Whenever that will be. I can't give you a guarantee on that, but we will be back.
Bye, guys.
Have a good night.
Good night, guys.
Be excellent to each other, and so long, and thanks for all the fish.
So, as always,
Most excellent.
be excellent.